Coming up on Nittany Game Week. The whiteout conditions never disappoint. Unfortunately, for the second largest crowd in stadium history, the end result against a top 10 opponent is another disappointment.
And I take ownership and I take responsibility.
Why it's important to understand and evaluate this double overtime heartbreaker.
Road trip's awesome and all that stuff, but it always feels like we're just all one group together.
All of the team's goals remain in focus. How a road trip can help a team still stinging from a tough loss at home.
As hard as it is for me to watch them, I know the benefit that a place like Penn State will be for them in their future.
And he's a former Nittany Lions football player with more than a passing interest in PSU athletics. What it's like for Joe Jurevicius to have not one, but two daughters on the women's volleyball team. This is Nittany Game Week. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Nittany Game Week. I'm Todd Sadowski alongside former Nittany Lions coaches Jay Paterno and Tom Bradley. The disappointing result versus the Ducks unleashes a wave of emotions from Penn State fans. And you can't tell someone how they should feel, but we can discuss how it happened and how you move forward as a team from another gut-wrenching loss to a top 10 squad.
We talked about last week that it was going to be chess match within the game, and Oregon did a great job managing that chess match. But at the end of the day, all the goals that Penn State started the season with are still ahead of them in terms of the Big Ten, getting in the playoffs. So none of that's gone. So you know what? Get over it, get on with it.
Yeah, because if you waste time worrying about that one, you're going to lose the next one. There's no time for that. Everything is still in front of you. Just win.
Well, it is important to react, not overreact to the setback. What the defense is able to accomplish versus Oregon, and there are a few things to contemplate about the offense in our opening drive. Well, check out this view of the whiteout. A wider look from up top. It really is a one-of-a-kind event. Here's the field level shot of the Nittany Lions coming out. Now, pregame, much of the discussion is about senior QB Drew Aller and Coach Franklin's record in the biggest games. Coach Lanning has his Oregon squad prepared for the difficult conditions. The Big Ten commissioner, Tony Petitti, on the sidelines for this one. It is important to understand and evaluate this loss. Jay, first three quarters for the offense is ugly. Decisions from Aller like this one to take an 8-yard loss on a completion simply can't happen in a game of this magnitude.
Well, there's no question. They did not really get going until the fourth quarter, and you hope that that's what you're going to focus in on and say, these are the things we did really well against a good defensive football team. Don't make no mistake, that's a really good defensive football team to tackle well with a lot of speed.
Tom, Oregon converts a 4th and short and runs it straight up the middle to increase their lead to 17-3. Crowd is fidgety, to say the least, before they rally in the fourth quarter. This is the stuff to remember. You want to make sure your team feels good about their fight and battling to come back and force overtime.
In a game like this, you don't have time to wait till the fourth. You got to get going from the very first series and make it. As you talk to your team about it, guys, we got to get off the bus, ready to roll.
The teams trade touchdowns in the first overtime. But there you have it. After Oregon scores on the first play of their second possession, the interception from Aller on their first play in double OT sets off the Ducks celebration and silences the crowd of over 110,000. He's in his 12th season, Coach Franklin, 4-21 against top 10 teams.
I try to look at the entire picture and what we've been able to do here. But at the end of the day, we got to find a way to win those games. I totally get it. And I take ownership and I take responsibility.
Yeah, I mean, I don't prepare all week to come out and lose the game, so obviously it hurts. We had our opportunities. I think that's kind of the unfortunately, the bright side of it, is we had opportunities, obviously, at the end to come back and win the game if we go down and score and make the 2-point conversion, but, I mean, that's the way it shakes out.
Of course, sometimes there's a play or two that really swings momentum. This is certainly one of them. Appears to be a clean fumble recovery and return from Zachy Wheatley. Upon farther review, the runner's knee grazes the grass before he continues his run. It's overturned, and the Ducks score their first touchdown on the next play.
It was a bend but don't break mentality. If you look at what they did on first and second down, 3 blitzes in 45 plays, they limited the big plays by Oregon, which was really what they set out to do.
That's what they set out to do, and then they knew what kind of game they were in when they got into it, because that's what it was going to be, a close game. They were just hoping, hey, we'll get our offense, get some points on that board, and it didn't happen that way.
It's not always about what you're doing. The Nittany Lions defense and the crowd are huge obstacles to clear, yet redshirt sophomore quarterback Dante Moore appeared unfazed, Jay. In fact, the entire Oregon offense was well prepared and fully functional during the whiteout.
Oregon looked like they had the week off. They came in and on their snaps for the game, half of them, they had shifts, motions, moving people around, and really had no penalties except for one or two, which was low for a game like that, and did a great job.
Yeah, Ducks QB Dante Moore was cool, calm, and collected all night long, guiding their offense.
I feel like, man, there was a lot of third and shorts, a lot of fourth and shorts, and playing this environment when it's super loud and a lot of things going on, we kind of just went back to our, our base rules, our blocking on the perimeter, blocking up front, and, if it's a pass play, going through my read. So there's a lot of plays I know I missed. I wish I can get back, but, come out with the win and making sure that we got, big-time conversion was huge for us.
Yeah, Moore finds himself on a short list of Heisman Trophy candidates. He was unflappable in a tough environment. 29 completions in 39 attempts, 248 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interception. He avoided the pass rush effectively all night, 0 sacks for the Nittany Lions. Now, offensively, this remains a team stacked with talent and potential, but they lack cohesion. At this point, it's rare to see everyone executing on a high level on each play. Aller completes just 14 of 25. Katron Allen was clearly more effective in this matchup than Nick Singleton, Jay.
Well, I think if you look at the season now, we like to split the carries, but when you get a guy with a hot hand, he was the guy Oregon was really having a hard time tackling, and may have been a mistake to get away from him, not letting him carry the mail.
Well, that's the thing. I think it's great to have the system, but when one guy gets a hot hand, you got to give him the ball.
Can't let it affect what you do moving forward. And the next thing in front of them is their first road trip of the season. It's a long one across the country to face UCLA.
No matter what, on the road, at home, all we care about is us and our own opinions. So it always feels like we're on our own little bubble and Lash. We're in our own little bubble and Beaver in the locker room. Nobody can get in. Nobody understands it. And it's sorry, like, you just don't. We didn't do what we do. So the road trip's awesome and all that stuff, but, like, it always feels like we're just all one group together.
5 of PSU's final 8 games are away from home. Up next, it certainly appears to be a team you want to face to get back on track. What Penn State needs to focus on when taking on the Bruins of UCLA. More Nittany Game Week is on the way.
The opening drive is sponsored by R&R Express. Every shipment moved contributes to autism research and inclusion through the Excel Foundation. Learn more at wearerr.com. Nittany Game Week is brought to you by West Shore Home, official partner of Penn State football.
Welcome back to Nittany Game Week. Before we move our attention to this week's opponent, UCLA, there are a couple of takeaways from the double overtime heartbreaker to discuss. Coach Bradley, Coach Paterno, give us a couple of things to remember about that matchup with the Ducks before you break down the Bruins.
Well, we talked about it last week, and each game is a chess match. And Penn State made some great adjustments. Oregon, unfortunately, made the last great adjustment.
They did, and as you know, football's a game of inches. Penn State just could not come up with the big play when they needed to get it.
Now, talking about that at the last play, a lot of people are very critical of Drew Aller on the last possession in overtime with the interception. But let's talk about this. Without the fourth quarter that he played, which is one of the best quarters he has played all year, or certainly in his career, he went 4 carries, 33 yards, 5 for 7, 70 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Without that quarter, we never even get to overtime. An incredible job coming back in that situation. And not just throwing. Here's a critical 3rd and 9. He goes and gets 20 yards. Let's talk about the last play. Get the chalk last is something that we always talked about as coaching. And Oregon was having trouble with this jet sweep formation they were running and this combination. So they took the defensive end, widened him. They blitzed the front side linebacker, take him, and they made adjustment by putting a nickel back rather than the linebacker, who then flowed to the play to make the play. And you'll see it as it unfolds here, Tom.
Yeah, you sure can. And one of the things how they had their defensive line, that guy that's playing 7 yards off the ball, used to call him the bubble boy. No one's going to block him.
Yeah.
He makes a ton of plays.
And he flowed right to it, and he's a veteran player. So let's talk about now, as we move on to keys to watch for the UCLA offense. Red zone, 100% first in the country, but they've only been there 8 times, which is the problem. They have not had a lead at any point in their first 4 games, and it hasn't exactly been murderer's row they played. And it's going to be a real tough situation for Penn State. What they do have is they have a quarterback who's been effective this year. He is a good job. They do a run-pass option stuff with him, and then with that run-pass option, they get these linebackers to flow and throw that ball in behind them, and that becomes challenging for a defense. Tom.
It sure does, especially with how much the quarterback does. He is their offense. He's the guy.
Yeah.
He does a lot of different things.
No question about it. And he's got the ability to throw the ball downfield. He transferred in from Tennessee where he played in some big games. Now, here you're going to see him drop back. Now, their wideouts are good, not great. Number 3 is one of the guys, and number 7, 3 is their leading receiver. Here you're going to see him make a nice job here, come out. They run these guys across, get him here, and get him in behind. Now, they've made a change at offensive coordinator this week. Jerry Neuheisel is going to be calling the plays. They got rid of their previous Tito Sinceri as the offensive coordinator, Tom, and you know that's going to be tough because there's not really a lot of things to look at on film in terms of play calls.
Exactly. There's not going to be a lot of things to watch, and they're going to all have their own personalities. As you know what they like to do. You get a beat on a team, and then all of a sudden they change a coordinator, which now it's a whole different approach.
Now let's take a look at the defense where they have remained consistent on defense. They've got to do a better job getting turnovers. They're 98th in turnover margin. Their 2 top linebackers lead the league in tackles. Now let's take a look at how they do that, how they play defense. They are a man-free team, so they're going to play man-to-man the outside. The safety is in another area code. You can't even see him on the film. And then the guy that you want to look for is the slot receiver. Penn State slot receiver is going to be playing a safety who's off the ball. That's going to enable some things like play-action passes, get that matchup on the slot, and Tom, you know how tough that can be.
It can be really tough. In fact, the one thing you did mention is how deep that free safety plays. You don't see him a lot of times.
Yeah.
You watch the tape.
He's there to take away the big play. Now let's talk about the next thing on this. When you talk about how they press, they'll bring some blitzes on 3rd down, which leaves them one-on-one. Again, you want to see Penn State's wideouts start to win these one-on-one matchups when they get pressed. That's going to be a real challenge. Here you see UNLV against this blitz, pick up the blitz and throw it downfield successfully, Tom.
Well, there's the matchup because they're going to get a lot of one-on-one coverages. That's how you have to stop the Penn State run game. You have to do that. You're going to have to take chances somewhere else, and that's where it's going to be outside in the perimeter.
No leads at any point in the season. That's what I took away from that one. That's incredible. Well, thank you, coaches. If Penn State hosts another playoff game later this season, we may see another whiteout. The annual tradition has become a bucket list item for college football fans. And Nittany Game Week's Ryan Yee finds out why they travel from far and wide to see the greatest show in college sports.
A sports spectacle everyone has marked on their calendar. The Penn State whiteout.
This is my first whiteout. I am pumped. I cannot wait to see the atmosphere inside. It's going to be unreal.
PSU fans come from far and wide to fuel the special occasion.
We drove 4 hours. I can't imagine where other people came from. We travel, we come up, we love them. They're the best.
A one-of-a-kind experience that has even opposing fans getting in on the whiteout festivities.
Oh, I'm excited. Everybody keeps telling me it's going to be electric. And I'm like, I hope it is. I hope it lives up to the hype that all the Penn Staters are telling it's going to be.
And let me tell you, here in the whiteout, it is sensory overload. It really is an environment like no other in college sports.
The best thing in the world. We're going to get chills. Memorable. The memorable is the only, I'll tell you, memorable. You'll remember it until the day you die.
For Nittany Game Week, I'm Ryan Yee.
Thank you, Ryan. Our Impact interview is with the honorary captain from the whiteout game. He's a former NFL wide receiver and a dad to a pair of Nittany Lions on the women's volleyball team. Hear from Joe Jurevicius when we come back. Nittany Game Week returns after this.
Impact Interview is sponsored by the Pocono Mountains, where small-town charm meets big adventures. Book your trip today by visiting PoconoMountains.com.
Welcome back to Nittany Game Week. Time for our Impact interview. And this week's guest was a former Nittany Lion player, fantastic player, but I think he's made more of an impact on the women's volleyball team. Certainly currently has not one but 2 daughters on the defending national champs, a Super Bowl champion, and, as we'll get into more later, an avid outdoorsman. Joe Jurevicius, thanks so much for the time, Joe. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate you guys having me.
All right, so you come to Penn State from Lake Catholic High School in Ohio as a big-time wide receiver, and your career actually included a little bit of punting as well. And, of course, that fantastic 1994 team wins in the Rose Bowl, Fiesta Bowl. How much fun is it to think about your career as a player, as a Nittany Lion?
I think it's, because I have two daughters here now, I spend a lot more time here in State College. I think some of this is actually social media driven too, right? What I get to see now, not having really any skin in the game, is State College for what it is. It's awesome. I feel like I've seen more as an adult than I did when I was in school here, probably because I didn't know a lot of this stuff was around here. But in terms of the memories, seeing Beaver Stadium, obviously kind of reacquainting with Jay Paterno, the Paterno family, my teammates, some of my roommates. It's been an awesome experience because, through life's ups and downs, there's obviously unbelievable memories. And, part of who I am as a person, somebody that's able to deal with perseverance, hard times, continuing to kind of forge forward. It's a big part of, my time here at Penn State, but absolutely just an insanely great place to be and live right now, which is kind of what we're doing.
So after Penn State, you have a great 11-year NFL career, playing 3 Super Bowls, winning one. 2 questions. First, have the Eagles fans ever forgiven you for that 71-yard crossing route that broke open that game 23 years ago? And what stands out about your time in the NFL?
Well, the interesting part about the Philly fans, right? They're like Raider fans. So one of the most interesting places to be a visitor, to go out to play there. It was interesting being a Penn Stater. When I would go to Philly, you would always get, "Hey Joe, we are," and then it was always followed with some kind of derogatory comment toward me with a smile. So the charm of Philly definitely was there. Listen, that crossing route, some of the, I always like to tell people that crossing route, we shut down the vet, and then the next year we opened up at Lincoln Financial and on Monday Night Football. And I was the Monday night player of the game there, had a couple touchdowns, and we got to open up their new stadium with the win. So it was great times. The memory in the NFL, what stands out for me is just having the opportunity to play for as long as I did. When there's guys that are quicker, faster, stronger, all the above. I just spent a lot of time learning my craft, trying to know everybody's position, not just my own, which is probably why I was able to hang around for 11 years. I spent some time at the X, the Z, the zebra. I spent time at Y. I spent time in the backfield blocking on blitz assignments. So I was able to do a lot of things, met a lot of unbelievable coaches along the way. And then, probably another one, since we're talking about Penn State, is being actually in Super Bowl 40, being on the field and starting with Bobby Ingram in Super Bowl 40 versus the Pittsburgh Steelers for my year in Seattle.
Hey, Joe, your daughters are on Penn State's women's volleyball team now. What made you more nervous, playing in the Super Bowl or watching last year's national title match?
Well, based on my nails are still growing back from the volleyball game, I'd say volleyball. But the interesting thing is, when you play the game, when you play football, you had a release, right? You're going to get hit. You're going to hit somebody. There's a lot of things that are going on during the game. And in volleyball, as a dad, for the people that truly know me, I sit up in the corner by myself. And I watch the game kind of, of course, as a dad, but, I push my kids. I think that comes with the territory, but it's definitely hard watching your girls out there. Again, I just want them to be part of something special, which they were last year. And I don't want that to stop, right? I think sports gives you a lot of life lessons. So what may be hard now will probably make something a lot easier for you in the future. So as hard as it is for me to watch them, I know the benefit that a place like Penn State will be for them in their future.
A lot of fun catching up with the former Nittany Lion. Make sure you go to NittanyGameWeek.com for the entire conversation with Joe Jurevicius, along with other web-exclusive content like our Nittany Connect network of businesses and the Nittany Game Week podcast. Don't go anywhere, still to come. Tom hands out his scrap medal to a deserving member of the PSU defense. We're heading into the final minutes on Nittany Game Week.
Scrap Metal is sponsored by Burke and Bradley Orthopedics. Located in Pittsburgh, Burke and Bradley Orthopedics is a comprehensive sports medicine practice, providing patients with the most current and innovative approaches in diagnosis and treatment.
Time for our scrap medal. Tom always keeps a keen eye on the linebacker play. Amari Campbell is around the ball from the very first play, Tom.
It's about time we got a defensive guy here. Tired of this offense stuff here. He makes the first tackle of the game and ends up with 15 against Oregon. 8 of them solo tackles. The 6-foot junior from Manassas, Virginia, went to high school at Unity Reed in North Carolina and was on the Tar Heels for his first 2 seasons before making a smart decision and transferring to Penn State.
It's trivia time. Penn State and Oregon first played in the 1960 Liberty Bowl in Philadelphia Municipal Stadium. In 1964, the stadium was renamed. What was the new name? The answer was JFK Stadium. Our winner was William Shaughnessy. Now, let's turn to this week's question. In the Big Ten added 4 former Pac-10, the original Pac-10 teams last year. Which of those new teams has Penn State played the most?
We are bringing PSU fans and alumni together with our Nittany Connect Network and NittanyGameWeek.com, partnering with businesses that support the show and letting our viewers know about their great products and professional services. Before we go, one final appropriate message.
Got this shirt over the weekend, and this is to recognize Phil and Petty Knight's $2 billion with a B gift to fund cancer research and at the Knight Cancer Institute in Oregon.
Well, with that kind of funding, that kind of money, they're going to be able to do exactly what that shirt says. And while you are visiting our website, make sure to submit your tailgating pics. We always finish with some pride pics, so show us your spirit. For Jay and Tom, I'm Todd. Thanks so much for watching Nittany Game Week. We'll see you next time.